fine. Do you understand what I mean, Charles? I don't know if that answers your question or not. In other words, it depends. As a messenger going out on behalf of the Bezdin saying, yes, Rosh Chodesh was on such a day, they will find that out eventually anyway. And therefore, his reputation as a truthful man is at stake. Someone coming and saying they saw the moon and claiming they're the only people who saw the moon last night, it's quite a tough one. They may, as I say, astronomically know it's visible, but maybe it was cloudy, nobody saw the moon. They coming forward, or even saying that they saw the moon on a day which they didn't see, is tricky to disprove if it was possible astronomically to see the moon. Do you see what I mean? Yes.
So what Rashi was saying applies not to a witness, but to somebody who reports what the Beth Din has decided.
Yes. What was your question? I mean, were you were a witness generally, or?
No, a witness generally can't give testimony on his own.
No. To say that such a thing happened, but in this case, where they're acting as a messenger, which can be proved when he's telling, in due course, we will find out whether he's telling the truth. Other events which can't be proven either way, but you're the sole witness for this. Yes, we can examine you and check and be, as I say, they do the boydake, but in the end of the day, it's your word. Particularly, we're talking about the moon, visibility of the moon. You claim you saw the moon. It's going to be quite hard to disprove that unless you certainly if you know astronomically where the moon's meant to be, the shape, etc. It's just your word. Without a lie detector, it's tricky to decide that. So yes, you'd never be believed if it's something which it's your word and it can't be proven either way.
Good, thank you.
Okay, let us move on, gentlemen, on the same topic of Kiddush. 6 narrow lines up, Chof base on a base. Yes, 6 narrow lines up. Tonu Rabbonon. Actually, 7 lines up. If you remember, when we learned the Mishnah, in fact, we already explained this. The Mishnah says on the previous Omud that originally they would accept, exactly Charles's point, originally they accepted witnesses from everyone. But this is a point about the witness rather than the messenger, yeah? So anybody coming along, everybody has what we say a chazaka, an assumption that someone is kosher, unless proved to the contrary. So anybody coming 7 narrow lines up, good to see you, Sam. 7 narrow lines up, Chof base on base. Originally, they accepted witnesses from anybody. Everybody has a cheskes kashrus, an assumption that they are a suitable witness and kosher to give testimony, until proven the other way around. Until, if you remember, the Mishnah said, Mishekilkalu habayisusim. The bayisusim fooled the Bezdin, or tried to fool the Bezdin, and therefore they realized they're leaving themselves wide open, and this is no longer good enough. You'll have to come with someone else to prove and vouch for you. So the Bezdin knows this other individual, and this other individual therefore can give testimony, well, not testimony actually, to vouch for the aid who is coming. So the question the Gemara asks is, what happened? Have you got the beginning line is Odom. Tona Rabbonon, Ma Kilkalu Habayisusim. Do you remember this group? They're Bayisusim, and they only believe in Torah Shebichsav, but not Torah Shebal Peh. And they tried to fool the Bezdin. So if you remember, we learned last week, the Rashi there, lahatos es hachacholim. And remember, the Rashi says that Rosh Chodesh, they like the Pesach to fall on a Shabbos, so that when it says Mimocharas HaShabbos, that's when there's an Omer offering brought and you start Spiros Omer, the Pasuk says Mimocharas HaShabbos. Now we translate that to mean the day after the rest day, meaning Pesach. They take that very literally, meaning no, you only start the day after Shabbos. So they are very keen that Rosh Chodesh Nisan should be on a Shabbos, in which case 15 days, the 15th of Nisan will also be in the Shabbos. Then it fits in with their school of thought. I mean, just by I would say more by chance than anything else. So they're very keen. So what they do, even though the moon was not visible on Friday night, they got witnesses to test it. We'll see what they did in a moment, to try and fool the Beis Din to saying, we saw the moon on the Friday night. Presumably it was astronomically possible to see the moon, but they were very keen that Rosh Chodesh should be on the Shabbos. So Friday night, they would have come on Shabbos. They would have said on Shabbos, we saw the moon last night, when really Rosh Chodesh would have been one day later, with me, because the moon was not actually seen on Friday night. It would have been one day later, and that would have blown the view of the Baisusim. They would like everybody to have Pesach on a Shabbos, so Mimocharas HaShabbos was really going to be a Sunday for them. So they were very keen. And what did they do? Well, let's get a very interesting case here. Beginning of line is Baisusim. Do you have that? Baisusim, the narrow lines? Palm Achas once, Bikshu Baisusim Lahatos Es HaChomim. They wanted to fool the rabbis. And as we explained just a moment ago, they said, we saw the moon on Friday night. Sochru Shnei B'nei Odom. They hired two people for Daled Meir Zuz, nice sum of money, 400 Zuz. But they didn't do the homework quite well enough. Or, as we say, somebody had actually managed to get infiltrated into the Baisus camp, because they assumed good old Yankel there was one of them, but he wasn't. Look at the Gemara here. They took Echod Mishelonu ve'Echod Mishelohem. They actually they went to two individuals, assuming they were from their group, Baisusim group. I don't know if we have a special card or whatever, a badge. But Yankel managed to, as I say, infiltrate that group. Dalit said they hired people for 400 zuz. Echod mishelonu. I like that language. One of ours and one of theirs. And Rashi says Echod mishelonu. Rashi says velo hikiruhu. They did not recognize him. They didn't know him as being one of ours. So you can imagine this happening. Okay, so they went to Beis Din. He had the 400 zuz with him, did very well. But look what happened. Hayid Eidusai. Again, let's read this again. Echod Mishelonu ve'Echod Mishelohem. Got it? Next line. Shelohem, their witness, Hayid Eidusai, gave his testimony. I saw a wonderful moon last night. I'll tell you exactly where it was, done his homework. Crescent moon. Not many people would have seen it, but I was lucky enough just to see that moon. Fine. V'yotzo. Shelonu, our man, went in. Good old Yankel, doesn't say his name. I assume his name is Yankel. Omrulai, they said to him, Emor, tell us. How did you see the moon? Now, the next, you can see it's allegorical. It's obviously hinting at something. The various Meforshim to explain exactly what he was saying, what was the hints here, but you'll get the point. Of course, there's a beautiful marshal. It's a long marshal. Those people who want a bit of homework can have a look at the marshal, who goes through every detail here. I'll try and summarize as we go along. Now, don't forget, this was the time the Romans in the ascendancy. The Baisusim also seems to be working together with the Romans, trying to bring down the rabbis. So he said the following: I saw the moon, and this is, I say, basically, in short, how the Marshal will explain this. Omar Lohem, he said to them, Oile hoyisi b'ma'aleh adumim. I was going up at Ma'aleh Adumim. Now, of course, there is a place, Ma'aleh Adumim. I don't know if anyone's been there, Ma'aleh Adumim. But the remez, according to the Marshal, is from the word Edom. Yeah, he was hinting at the fact that Edom were rising, the Romans were rising, their power and control. They're trying to dismantle the rabbis and Yiddishkeit and everything else. Isiv, and I saw it, the moon, moon meaning Klal Yisrael and what's happening to them. Rovutz bein saloim, crouched between two stones. And the Marshal explains it to one particular rabbi, Rabbi Yehuda ben Bova. It mentions him being between two mountains when he was giving, under threat of death, he was passing on the smicha process. People may be familiar with this smicha process and enabling people, ordinating the rabbis. He was doing this. It was a threat. And so it's a reference to him, a hidden reference. Roshai doime le'egel. This Roshai, it seems like it's referring to Roshai, one of the Talmidei Chomim, Rosh, also similar lotion to, I think he says, Roshai was Rab Shimon ben Yochai, like the leader. Rab Shimon ben Yochai was one of the leaders. Shimon ben Yochai. Let's have a look here. Follow this through. Yeah, Rab Shimon ben Yochai. It doesn't say it's Rab Shimon ben Yochai. This is referring to him as one of the leaders, and where his face was like the face of the Egel. It's all talking about these various animals, the Egel, the like a pan, Egel, representing the head of the community. Oznov doime ligdi, this moon, obviously, it's talking about the ears of a moon. Obviously, he was really getting his point, and perhaps they understood what he was talking about. In a moment, he will explain more. The ears were similar to the Gedi. The Gedi also referenced Klal Yisrael, the various psukim, Gedoyim, in Shiur Hashirim, referring to Klal Yisrael. So they're referring to the Gedi, Kanov Doimes Litzvi, various other Rabbonim. Zonovo Munachas Ben Yaakosov. Zonovo means like the tail. It means even the Talmidei, not the Talmidei Chachomim, the community generally. That's the Zonovo, not necessarily the heads. Even the general Balbatim of Klal Yisrael, Munachas Lo Ben Yaakosov. Oh, okay. Let me come off video. Might help a bit for a moment. Yeah, talking about the tail representing the community generally, those are their followers, the tail followers of Klal Yisrael rather than the leaders of Klal Yisrael. Even the tail, which means the general followers of Klal Yisrael, the Hamonam, the people at large, they had their tail between their legs. In other words, really downcast, saying a very poor position. The Hitzatzti boy. I looked very carefully
earlier on. So what was the remez Ma'aleh Adumim? I lost the connection. You said there was a remez in Ma'aleh Adumim, one of the Rabbonim or something.
Yeah, Ma'aleh Adumim, yes. I'm sorry?
What was the hint? What was the remez?
The remez is from the word Edom. Ma'aleh Adumim means Edom is in the ascendancy.
Yeah.
The Romans are in, it's the time of the Golus Edom. The Romans are in the ascendancy, and therefore they're pulling down Klal Yisrael. Of course, there were various decrees, often threat of death, against Klal Yisrael. That's what it means. I was there on Ma'aleh Adumim. That was a reference, talking about the rabbis, the leaders, and how they're all with their position and the difficulties they're going through. Even the community at large, they have their as a tail between its legs, representing how their position has dropped and the threats they're under. I looked carefully, boy, at this moon, when I saw the position of Klal Yisrael and how the difficult times they're going through, v'nirtati, I've like fell backwards, v'nofalti la'chorai. Yeah, I trembled and fell backwards when I saw this position of Klal Yisrael. People trying to, cause trouble with the Rabbonim, we like the Baisusim, they're giving them great powers to try and dismantle the rabbis. So that's what he said. And if that wasn't clear enough, that he had not come to actually testify about the moon at all. He's really coming to say that this is a put-up job, and I'm really not with this at all. But more than that, he says, if you don't believe that this is a put-up job, and I've really been hired to give this testimony, Hare Mosayim Zuz Tururim Li V'Sidini. He says, this is the 400 Zuz that I've got bound in my sheets on a cloth. Here it is. And this is what happened. And here's the money proving that I actually was hired, and I really haven't got any testimony at all to say about the moon. Omrulo, the rabbi said to him, Mi his kikacholakach. What made you do this? Obviously a dangerous thing to do. Omar Lohem, he said to them, Shomati, I heard, Shebikshu baisusim lahatos esachomim. With my ear to the ground, and I'm, known in all these various circles that I've been mixing it in. So he said, I heard this is what they were up to. Omarti, I said to myself, Eilei Chani. I said not just to myself, I went up there and said, I'm happy to do this. V'udia lohem, and I'll make known this plan of the Baisusim, a bit like Kolev. You remember Kolev? He kept them quiet. They imagined he was one of the spies when really with them when really he wasn't. Shema, because I'm scared. Shema yovoyu b'nei odom she'einu godim. They'll get hold of other people to do this job. Certainly 400 zuz, worth every penny. V'yitu es chachomim, or v'yatu es chachomim, probably better. And they will fool the rabbis unless I make out as if I'm one of these by Susim, and I will certainly disclose show up their plan. Look at the next piece, very interesting. What's going to happen to that 200 zuz? Omruloi, they said to him, Mosayim zuz nusunim l'cho, b'matono. What does that mean? It's given over to you as a gift. Now, the Baisusim, they were up to no good, as we've seen. What would you have expected about this money? Look at this Rashi. Mosayim zuz nusunim l'cho b'matona. It's all very well these Baisusim were up to no good. They were trying to trick the Chachomim. But at the end of the day, there's a financial issue here. They gave them 400 zuz to give testimony falsely. Says the Rashi, Nosayim zuz nasunim l'cho b'matona. It's given to you as a gift. And Rashi has to tell us how they can do that. Now, you would have thought these crooks, these Baisusim, are too pleased to take their money. No. Utahei rashai la'akvon. You're allowed to keep it. So although, as I say, the Baisusim trying to fool the rabbis, their money still does not belong to you, strictly. Continue Rashi. Shlo hishlamto tanai shelcha l'sorcha, l'sorchercha, actually. You have not fulfilled a condition of the contract. Now, I know the Baisusim are crooks, but there was a financial contract here that you, on condition, were going to give this testimony, which was false, and then you get the money. So strictly speaking, that money has to go back. Says Rashi, it's only because they're using the power, we've mentioned this principle before, what's called Hefka, Bezdin, Hefka. The Bezdin has the power to make money Hefka. Very interesting. And it's only because of that power you can keep the money. Otherwise, however bad it was, these Baisusim, what they were up to, the money does not belong to you. But continues Rashi, they can make a fine, they can make, however bad someone is, they're still.
Norman, could you go back to, you froze. So we heard you say lebestin.
Yes.
In Rashi.
Liknos momon v'la'asoiso hefka. They can make money hefka. Kudorinun b'yavomus, as we say in Yavomus. Minayin shehefka bezdin hefka. Where do we know this principle from? Shenema, there is a posuk. This posuk is in Ezra, not in the Torah, in Nach. In Ezra, the posuk there, it's talking about Ezra himself. V'chol asher lo yovo l'shloishes yomim. Anyone who doesn't come within the 3 days, and the Pasuk says there, some people may have it around the side of their Gemara, Yoharam kol ruchushai, all his assets will be like a cherem, they will be confiscated. That's what Ezra is saying, and we're learning from there that the rule of Hefka Bezdin Hefka, that they can make money hefka, in which case this money that the Baisusim put up, you're allowed to keep. But without that, this individual would not be allowed to keep the money, even though the Baisusim, as I say, were up to their tricks. He would not be allowed to keep the money. But in this instance, he can. So that's very interesting. Continues the Gemara. Yes, b'matona, beginning of line is b'matona, got it? Yeah, the one who is hiring, that's the other guy, he'll be stretched on an omud, like there's some type of pole or whatever. He will be stretched on the omud. What is that referring to? Have a look at Rashi. Lamalkus, he will, observing certainly the false testimony. Lamalkus kadorminim b'seches makas. People know makas chof beis and base. Koifei shtei yodov alo omud, some type of pole or an omud, where the person is. It's a koifes. You normally had his two hands surrounding this omud. And then that he would receive the malchus from the Bezdin. That's exactly what will happen to this person, clearly not telling the truth. We've got now, you presumably he admitted it afterwards as well. We don't know about that. But Oysa Shah that time. Now, when that happened, they saw the Baisusim may well, it was only through the fact that this other individual actually refused to take the money. Or more than that, he came along to try and blow their cover, as they say. So therefore, that's the reason why they found out about this, but they realized this could happen again. But Oysa Shah, that time, they made a ruling. From now on, we can see what almost happened here. And therefore, from now on, we will only accept witnesses who we know, who the Bezdin actually knows as being upright individuals. And if those people aren't known to the Beis Din, then they can bring along someone to vouch for them. But without that, we really don't know, sadly, because normally everybody does have a chazaka of being a kosher person. That chazaka still stands, but there's a concern here that somebody might be trying to fool the Beis Din. So that's interesting how that actually started.
It's interesting.
They have a list.
Sorry,
Sam,
just to say, it's interesting that the, I mean, that this tale or this history doesn't recall anything more detrimental, if you like, done to the Baitusim for getting up to this sort of mischief. I mean, they're literally trying to sabotage.
Yes.
All we're hearing is about the outcome
Of this particular case, yes.
To these two individuals, but there's no mention of any kind of response to the group.
No, the question is what they could do to respond against them. I don't know. Maybe there was, we also don't know. Or maybe, as we said before, there seemed to be some type of hint this is linking up with Romans in some way. So maybe they didn't want to go any further than that. I don't know, in answer to your question. But yeah, I mean, it was scary times. And the Baisusim, this whole group, which was, I say, only linking up to Torah Shebechsav. There's a very interesting question, though. Have a look at Tosfos 1, 2, 3, the fourth Tosfos. We just said before that the Baisusim kept the Torah Shebechsav, correct? So let's go to this Pesach story. According to Rashi, the moon was really not seen on Friday night, okay? As Rashi explained. So therefore, they put up these two witnesses and said, yes, the moon was seen on Friday night, so that Pesach would be on Shabbos. When should Pesach have been? The first Pesach should have really been on a Sunday, in which case Mimocharas HaShabbos would have been Monday, which didn't really suit them. They much preferred to have Mimocharas HaShabbos, which they like. They always would have Mimocharas HaShabbos. They would wanted everybody to keep Pesach on the Sunday, yeah? Shabbos and the Sunday would be the day after. Now, 1 minute. We just said that the Baisusim kept the Torah Shebechsav. Now, if they're fooling the Beis Din in this way, when would they keep Pesach? They knew full well that Pesach was not on the Shabbos. Rosh Chodesh was not on Shabbos. It should have been Sunday. So according to the Baisusim, it's all very nice, but they're keeping Pesach on the wrong day, aren't they? Even though they would have kept Mimocharas HaShabbos, yeah, and therefore they would have made Shavuos maybe much on a different date. Do you understand the point I'm making? The Baisusim are trying to fool Beis Din and make Pesach 1 day earlier than it really would have been. But the Baisusim adhere to what's written in the Torah, and one of the rules is Pesach's on the 15th of the month. They are making Pesach on the 14th of the month. And therefore, Pesach will finish a day early, and they'll be eating chometz when it's still Pesach. Really? That is the question of the fourth Tosfos. Have a look towards the end of that Tosfos. V'im toima, Uma. Have you got it? Uma. Fourth Tosfos down the page. The beginning of the line that I'm interested in. The first part, it goes through Rashi that we've seen. V'im toima, Uma marvichim. What are they going to gain? It's all very well. They're very keen, and they want Mimocharas HaShabbos for the Omer, and of course the same. Then it will be Shavuos falling on that day 7 weeks later. But they're not gaining anything. Halo miskalkalim. They themselves are ruining Li'inyan Pesach because they are going to be making Pesach a day early. Good question of Tosfos. Do you understand? It's all very well to fool the Beis Din, but you're fooling yourselves because you as a group now, if the Beis Din will announce Pesach or Rosh Chodesh on a Shabbos, it really shouldn't have been a Shabbos, it should have been a Sunday. You will be keeping Pesach a day early. Pesach will therefore finish a day early, and you'll be eating chometz a day when it's really Pesach. Answers Tosfos, and this is something we've mentioned before, and it comes up later on in the Gemara too. We've mentioned this principle, the Yeshloima Deloy Chashiva Le Kilkul. This will not be damaging. Why not? Mishum de Dorshi Atem Vafilu Mezidim. There will be a drasha which will come out, and that's not considered Torah Shebal Peh, where the ruling is that the Bezdin have the power, even if, I say consciously, Bezdin makes Rosh Chodesh on the wrong day. That's when Rosh Chodesh is. You with me? One of the rules that applies to Kiddush HaChodesh, we said, is it's up to the Bezdin. And therefore the Bezdin have the power to delay or bring early. They can make Rosh Chodesh when they like. And it's Asher Tikru Oisom. The word Oisom, they call them, and it's learnt out, they call them, meaning Bezdin can call, they can call when Rosh Chodesh is. And therefore, that's it. That answers the question. The Baisusim were not fooling themselves, because if they got Bezdin to announce Rosh Chodesh on a Shabbos, when really, if you like, objectively, if you like, or it really should have been the next day, it doesn't matter. Because once Bezdin announced that Shabbos is Rosh Chodesh, that is Rosh Chodesh. Forget what's really happening, and forget what the fact that the moon was not visible, or people did not see the moon. It doesn't matter. If Bezdin have the power, so therefore the Baisusim are quite happy to try and fool the Bezdin in this way, and it wouldn't be fooling themselves, because whenever the Bezdin announce Rosh Chodesh, that day really is Rosh Chodesh. So if they can fool the Bezdin, they've really won whatever they're planning to do, because that day will really be Rosh Chodesh. Okay? Now we on to the next Mishnah. Great stuff.
Normally it's weird though, because they're trying to deceive, they're trying to enact a deception in order to make sense of the Torah and the written law. And they can only do that by deception, which is an extraordinary state of affairs to be in. It's sort of like fake news, isn't it? It's
yes, it is. Absolutely.
Their beliefs are so strong that they're willing to pervert, in a sense, reality to make it fit their beliefs.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And what they wanted is everybody to follow them. And it would be wonderful if everybody would start the Omer on a Sunday. They always started the Omer on the counting of the 7 weeks from a Sunday, whenever it happened to be. And what they wanted is the rest of the Bnei Israel to do the same thing. Now they're doing it, and as you say, deception. But the point
they don't hold by the Bezdin, do they? I mean, their position was.
You're 100%.
That's a good point.
The deception it wasn't really a big deal, because they didn't hold by the whole process.
No. They
know. More that, Norma, can I just say one thing? That they're using a drush of Torah Shebal Peh to show that's not a kilkul. That's the other irony.
No. Very good question. You're questioning Tosfos. What they're saying is, if the Pasuk says, I think what the answer to that is, this is not a drosha. Asher tikru oisom. You can. They're taking that literally. You can call.
All right. Okay.
The tune. You can call. It's a good point. It's not just a drosha then. Yeah. So according to Tosfos, it's almost like the simple translation. You Bezdin call when Rosh Chodesh is. And we learn, the Gemara learns that. We haven't learned that yet, although we've mentioned the principle before. Even if they made a mistake, the Baisusim with Torah Shebichsav alone would say that would be all right. But what they wanted is everybody to start the counting on the Sunday and then have Shavuos on the Sunday, which would have been perfect for them. And then they got the whole, all the Jews are all keeping the same day. And that would be great. And they knew that, and answer your question, Sam, they knew that there is a mitzvah in the Torah of Kiddush HaChodesh. That's very clear in Yeshamo's chapter Yud Beis. And therefore they knew that Bezdin has the power. They believed in the Bezdin. What they want to do is fool the Bezdin, and then the Bezdin will be together with them as far as when Sfira So'omer starts. They always said Sfiras as Omer on a Sunday. So if Pesach falls on a Tuesday, they will wait until the next Sunday to start their counting of the Omer. Now, it's wonderful if everybody's counting on a Sunday, just like they would do, because if Pesach falls on the Shabbos, the counting the Omer, even according to the non-Baisusim, would start on the Sunday. So you're quite right, Laurie. With this deception, they were hoping everybody would be doing exactly what they wanted, and that would be good. They wouldn't be going against the rest, or they could almost say, you know, they're following our rule, like as a Baisusim. So it would have been very good, but it didn't work because of this individual who got his 400 zuz. But I think that's very powerful as well. That although, as I say, we've seen these Baisusim, what they're trying to do is dismantle everything here. Nevertheless, money is money, and the ruling is you made a condition. You can only keep the 400 zuz if you did what you under your condition. However, there's another rule at play here, but without that rule, he couldn't have kept that money. You would have said, you know, they deserve to lose every penny, what they're up to. No. Zelchud v'zelchud. You know, the Baisusim, nevertheless, there's a condition here, financial condition, you've got to keep to it, other than Bezdin have the power. Okay, on we go, gentlemen. See if this works. A face for the moment. If we freeze, actually no freezing here, it was 25 today. Sorry, I shouldn't say that to you. I shouldn't, I'm sorry.
Was that Fahrenheit?
On we go. Masnisin. Boris Shoina.
There was no heating or electricity in Devon, you'd be like, you know, it was free.
Oh, good stuff. Okay, very good indeed. Boris Shoina. Originally, oh dear, it's a phone. Good, been picked up elsewhere. Sorry about that. Okay, Boris Shoina. Originally, another one of these rules. This time it's not the Baisusim, it's another group called the Kusim, who weren't really, well, they pretended they wanted to become Jewish, but they really deep down were very much, as you'll see, trying to dislodge the Bezdin in every way. Originally, rather than sending, imagine the Bezdin have announced today is Rosh Chodesh. So what do? You send an email. Yes, if you had emails, you could send an email around to everybody. Get on a plane if you want to really go face to face. But in those days, you couldn't quite do that. What they did, which was quite good, they lit bonfires. And one bonfire going to the next. Brilliant. So you start off in Yerushalayim. They've announced, imagine, on a Monday, they've announced today is Rosh Chodesh. So they light a bonfire Monday night. And then, and as we'll see, one bonfire until they see their mates in the next mountain, another bonfire. And so it would go on very quickly. You can get that message around almost everybody. They lit these bonfires, and the Gemara will explain this word masois, or masuais actually. Masuais, we'll have to search to find out.
Was this allowed on Shabbat?
A big one?
Was this also allowed on Shabbat?
No. As we'll do about that. No, that was not. We remember it's coming to Bezdin as a witness, so that Bezdin can announce today that is permitted. The messengers and any actions you do to tell everybody, that is not Doicha Shabbos. You have to get the message out. And if you don't know, you don't know. But coming to announce when Rosh Chodesh is, that is certainly Doicha Shabbos. Yeah. So this will be on another day. And actually, that's a good point, because what happens, therefore, if it was going to be, imagine Friday was Rosh Chodesh. You'd want to light a bonfire Friday night. So how are they going to know? We'll see about that. Not tonight, I'm afraid. But Barishono, you must see Masuais. Okay, have a look at Rashi. After they sanctified the moon, that's the Bezdin, they didn't need. So amazing, it's moving up to our, the second day Yom Tov, it was unnecessary. You didn't need to send messengers out to tell everybody when Rosh Chodesh is. L'goyla, lo to make known. You didn't need that. Why? Ki hamasu'is, these bonfires, modim, so that would make it known to them. Obviously, you had one bonfire onto the next, strategically placed on top of mountains, and we will find out where those mountains are in a moment. Now, Mishekil Kaluha Kusim, once the Kusim, another group trying to pervert the Bezdin and the Din, Hiskino, so what did they get up to? Have a look at Rashi. Mishekil Kaluha Kusim, these Kusim causing trouble. Kilkalu, deceiving. What did they do? Hisihu gam hema masois. They started going on their lighting bonfires. Shelo bizman hachodesh, when it really was not Rosh Chodesh. Lahatos Yisrael, to fool, to deceive Israel. Ubezdin lohoyu masiyim masois. Now 1 minute. Bezdin only lit a bonfire. Elo b'chodesh, and we'll see about that in the next piece of Gemara. Right, back to Ubezdin. I'll go back to Ubezdin.
Yes,
Ubezdin lohoyu masiin masuos. The Bezdin did not light these bonfires. Elo b'chodesh, on a month. Sheniskadesh b'yom lamed. Right. B'yom lamed, in other words, the month could either be a 29-day month or a 30-day month. If it's a 29-day month, day 30 will not be day 30. Day 30 will be day 1. With me? If it's a 30-day month, day 30 will be day 30, and the day after that will be day 1. So if it's on day 30, which means day 30 is now converted into day 1, that's when they lit the bonfires. If there's no bonfire that month, then everybody would know that that month is actually got 30 days to it. You don't have to light a bonfire every time. Only light a bonfire. The ruling was light a bonfire when what we say the month is choser. If it's a 29-day month. Carry on, Rashi. Kudon re number pirikim. The Gemara will explain this itself. If there was no bonfire lit on the night, which would have been day 30, but is now converted into day 1, Hakol Yodim, everybody knows, Shachodesh Mu'uba. Actually, that month is now Mu'uba. It's a 30-day month. So we can save costs, and it's so much easier. You light a bonfire only if that day is Rosh Chodesh, right? Which means the month is a 29-day month. If it's a 30-day month, you don't need to. You know, it's either going to be 29 or 30. The two options.
Witnesses coming on the morning, though. All right, they didn't get there on the evening of the 30th. But if witnesses had to come early on
right, here we go. Sunday night, they saw the moon. Monday, they come to Bezdin. Monday morning, Bezdin announce. Monday would have been day 30, now converted into day 1. Monday night, they light the bonfires, and people know they're lighting the bonfire after the day, which was day 1. And of course, by the time they lit the bonfire, it's day 2. Yeah? If they don't light the bonfire on Monday night, it means because Monday was day 30. And Tuesday will be now day 1.
So when you say Monday night, you mean late on Monday, not Erev Monday, so to speak.
No, that's right. If you see the moon on Sunday night, Monday during the day, the Edim would come.
Yeah.
if they were valid Eidim, you would announce Monday being Rosh Chodesh.
Yeah.
They would light the bonfires that following night, Monday night. When was Rosh Chodesh? Sunday night.
It was ready on the Monday. That's when it was.
Correct. Rosh Chodesh, therefore, was Sunday night, Monday. By the time you find out about it on Monday night, it's true, you're already into day 2, but you now know that the previous day was, in fact, Rosh Chodesh. Yeah? So, back now to our Rashi. If there were no fires on the night after day 30, everybody knows that day 30 is day 30. It's not been converted. Sounds like rugby here, but yeah, there's no conversion of day 30. Upamachas, here we have it again. These people deceiving the Bezdin. Upamachas ibru Bezdin es hachodesh. Actually, yeah, no Eidim actually came on, right? So Monday, no witnesses came. So what's going to happen? It turns out, therefore, that Monday night, Tuesday, will be Rosh Chodesh, right? So they didn't light any bonfires. Monday night, in my example, Monday night, no bonfires were lit. The reason is because Sunday night, Monday, was not Rosh Chodesh. Okay? This group, Hisium, they went up to the mountains, on their mountains. They lit the bonfires on Monday night. So everybody seeing the bonfire thought that the day before was Rosh Chodesh, when really it wasn't. So what did they do from then on, says the Mishnah? Mishnah Kilkul Akusim Hiskinu, they instituted, and this is where it started. Shiur Shluchim Yoitzim. The only way you can do this, we can't do some bonfires anymore because the trouble could fool people with the bonfires, but you can't fool people if they're coming face to face and telling people. So that's the only way you can do it. You've got to send out messengers. Says the Mishnah, continues on, Keitzad hoyu masiin masois. How did they do this? What do you mean, how did they do this? What do you mean, how? Exactly that. What was the Keitzad means, how did they make these bonfires? Just interesting, you'd say you make it any way you like, as long as it's a good bonfire. So the Mishnah actually says this is the way they actually made it, to make sure you really got a good bonfire, as they say. Mevin kulun kulunosois shel erez. What did they do? They brought kulunosois. Have a look at Rashi, please. Anybody familiar with that French word? Have we got any French scholars here? Well, I've got a translation on the side, motos. It means poles, basically. Don't know if it means anything to anybody there. Old French word. Nope. Okay, fair enough. So they brought these poles, and Rashi said, the Mishnah says, shel erez, made of, well, we know erez, cedar wood, right? Wonderful, combustible, great. Aruchim, very long. Rashi says long, kadeshe yiru le'meirochik. The people have to see it, of course. You've got to get it. The next mountain has to see the bonfire. Okay. For konim, we know about konim reeds. For atzei shemen. Shemen wood, actually, that's normally translated as, I think, balsam. Ve'le'uroisel pishton comes up in Bob Metzia as well. Ve'le'uroisel pishton comes in various places. Pishton, of course, is flax. Again, nu'uros, normally translated, I think, combings of flax. Again, combustible, great fire, very good for bonfire night. V'koreich bimshicha. And you would tire it like koricha, koreich, coming down to Pesach, is it koreich? Like a sandwich, bundle them together, bimshicha, like a string, tie it with a string. Have a look at Rashi. Rashi says all that. V'konim b'atzei shemen and uresh shepishta, those three things, kol elu marbim shalheves. They increase the flame. And they would go, next Rashi tells us, for koshrim b'chut, got this string, shel meshicha b'roshei haklunasais, on top of these long poles. For oile l'rosh hahar, says Rashi, says the Mishnah, they would go on top of the mountain, umatzis bohem esor, they would ignite the ore, the flame, umoilech umevi umale umorid. It sounds a bit like some other we talk about where the lulav, the same idea, up, down, right, left, all over. How long would the person do that for? Till he sees his friend. I don't think it means he actually recognizes his friend, but it means he's seen someone else doing the same thing on the second mountain. Again, this is prior to the kusim causing trouble. And then onto the third mountain, it will go from mountain to mountain. Let's finish the mission if we can. Where were these places? In case you're interested to know, go out and visit these places. From where? Rashi says, ma shein hehorim. What are the names of the mountains they actually used? Well, the first one we know, Har HaMishcha. Mishcha means you're anointing. What are you anointing? A mountain where you anoint things. Another name for that, please. Have a look at Rashi. Maschilin hu mi Har HaZeisim. Har HaZeisim, Mount Olives. That's where they started. Said Rashi said Shelifnei Yerushalayim. Of course, it's just before Yerushalayim, and they would do that. Ad sheroin sheosin came Bahar Sartovo. Back now to our Mishnah. So starting with Har HaMishcha onto Sartovo, and then onto Misartovo Grufino. Anyone knows what that is? I don't. When we Grufino LaChavron, all these places. Mechavron, the base built in. Umi base built in lo zozu mishom. They didn't move from there. Let's say from horizontally and vertically. That went right up to, as you see from Rashi here, it's Hagola B'nai Bovel, living at that time, Anshe Pumpadisa. And there, everybody in Pumpadisa won the rule. Everybody went up onto their roof. From there, they went round. That's, of course, where Klal Yisrael was. If they were in the Gola, they were in Bovel. Wonderful. And they saw it in Maduras Eish. And the Gemara explains, Maduras Eish Loshen Hesek Godel. A very large fire. So it sounds like what they were doing there when they obviously the message had got to the Bovel, right, the distance. With everybody went up to the mountain. It sounded like this was a bi-monthly, I suppose, every other month at least. They were going up on their roof to the fire, saying they know exactly when Rosh Chodesh was. And obviously you get that distance, that's and you could go further still, and they would tell everybody else when Rosh Chodesh was. Excellent. With that, we will stop for tonight. Thank you very much.
Just one point. So there was only a bonfire lit. It was going to be Ma'uba. If it was going to, if they were going to tell you that it was on the 30th day, wasn't it? Because if it wasn't lit, then they would know it was prolonged.
Yeah, by default. If there's no fire, they would know by default.
So it's only written once. Yeah, answer. Okay.
Yes. Well, we say, it's only lit once and every other month.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
Yeah, very, very good. Okay, with that, we will call a halt today.
Thank you.
Good to see everybody.
Thank you, Norman. Brilliant.
Yeah, very nice.
Good to see everybody.
Thank you. Thanks, Norman.
Enjoy. Pasha Shkolim getting closer now to Purim and Pesach. So yes, Pasha Shkolim. counting the shkolim. Some people say Mishenichnas Adar Marbin B'Simcha. Some people say even in the first month, having an extra drink or more Marbin B'Simcha. And the Gemara uses the idea kashem, just like you find with Tisha B'Av, getting closer to Tisha B'Av. Remember, Mamatin B'Simcha, as you get closer to Purim, of course, there's a Ribui Simcha. Some people compare it, I said some of them unfortunately explain, just like with when it came to getting closer to the destruction of the temple. Of course, the simcha drops, as we know, with chasnas, etc. Similarly, we're getting to the first of Adar, and people may remember from the Mishnah of Shkolim, they used to collect the half shekel from Rosh Chodesh Adar, everybody giving a half shekel, and that money was used for the korbanos. So it's this connected the other one. Just like when we say we're talking about and we're this the Yom Tisha B'Av represents the destruction of the Beis Hamikdash. The fact that we've got now Parsha Shkolim, it's a reminder of what they used to do for the actual bringing the korbanos. So therefore, Zeh Keneged Zeh, a time for Ribui Simcha. We're reminding ourselves we do about the Beis Hamikdash, B'Meira of Yomeinu. Let's have it back. Now, I say some people say it only applies in the second month. Well, anyway, as we're getting closer to the second month, so we're certainly into the Mishenichas Hadar Marbin B'Simcha. And Mitzvah Hashem, we should only hear Besuhot Tovot all round. Good night, everybody. Be well. Thank you, Peter, for the technicalities.